Morning, everybody. It's 8:10 a.m. It is August 21st. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday was wild. Was nuts. Really nuts. I wasn't expecting that big of a sell-off from the open. I wasn't expecting that big of a sell-off. Well, we got it. Now, the important part is, I keep talking about this, is the expected moves. The free indicator. The script I wrote that I run every weekend and I share with you guys on my Discord, right? That really comes into play. I've noticed it every time a bunch of stocks hit those expected moves. The markets didn't price it in, and eventually you get some reflexive move. Okay? That's what happened yesterday, specifically with the Qs and a bunch of stocks, okay, that hit their expected moves. I've seen this now when we went to the upside. Multiple mega cap stocks, when they all start to go above where they're priced in, there's usually a meaningful pullback. This is kind of what happened yesterday. Okay, just look at the there. Here's your expected move indicator that I share for free on my Discord. The Qs ripped past it. The expected move to the downside, yes, for the week is 564.18. We ripped down all the way. Let's just round it off to like 558. Okay, 558. That's like $6 past the expected move, and guess what happened? We closed above the expected move. Okay, crazy. And the SPY is 631 and a half. We didn't quite come to that, but however, the SPX expected move almost hit it. The expected move is 633, 63.37. Almost hit it in the SPX. You see, we broke the 20-day simple moving average and closed above. We broke and we're below the 20 in the QQQ. Okay, expected move is very key because 70% of the time by Friday from the expected move, you close within that range. So I know now, it's like, I think this is the 6th week possibly that I've been running this script. Whenever multiple stocks, including a ticker of an index like the QQQ, hits an expected move to the upside to the downside, it's a cue that's probably done for that day. Now, this is a friggin' Wednesday, and you're hitting the expected move. It's not priced in. Then you get this ripping rally back, right? I had in Bookmap around 64.60, no, 63.66. Okay, 63.66. I mentioned it live in my channel that that could be a possible long, but the market was so crazy, it was so wild, and I was telling my channel, expect it move. I'm not really looking for much more shorts. I'm waiting for this thing to bottom out. And I said that could be a possible play. I said I just don't like a lot of the things like I like, and that was the trade. You know, that was the trade. Now remember, I'm still getting used to Bookmap. Not that I'm getting used to it. I'm still recognizing certain patterns. I'm seeing the same pattern over and over and over again. So in the future, that will be a trade. Okay, that would have been a monster. Um, Probably worth the risk, knowing that the expected move was way past it. Okay, and you can see we launched from that point way up. Okay, shorts had to literally cover. Right now, this morning we are still weak, folks. We're still weak. Okay, so yesterday the FOMC minutes came out, and there actually was kind of hawkish. They're kind of saying they're more worried. They're worried about tariffs, inflation, job market. They're. It didn't seem like a cut is imminent, even though the futures are pricing it in. However, it's went down the percentage. Looks like EU and the US made some kind of deal this morning. Came in around 7 a.m. Um, so we're in August, folks. I've been saying this. Actually, talking to one of my good friends, Rosita, who comes in here a lot, and I was telling her, I believe it was last weekend, or it could have been during the week. I said, there's going to be a blow off top. Some kind of, we're getting very frothy. And I don't know when, but something's going to happen. And we had something happen. Okay? We had something happen. Now, does this continue? I don't know. A lot of people like to buy the dips. All right, so Palantir really sold off. All right, a lot of candles yesterday. Now we'll have this big hammer with a big wick from that big push down from yesterday. Okay, all right. Why don't we get right into it? Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile, volume profile to find structure in the markets, along supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That is my edge. Okay. Also use Anchor VWAPs. Market internals, my bread and butter. All right. And the tool, you guys can all go to my Discord for free. The weekly expected move. I run it every weekend or Monday morning, and it gives us the expected range in a bunch of tickers. Okay, go to my Discord and grab it for free. Put it on your charts. Now, Bookmap. Bookmap is my new best friend. All right. So every day I've been going live. I'm sharing that, sharing what I'm seeing. I know one member of my community yesterday did go long at the 68s, and they had a nice trade. All right. I did not pull that trigger. Now, when I did actually replay it this morning, I replayed that actual exact trade, and I was just watching and watching and watching how price developed, and that's what I've been doing with Bookmap. It's really great. You can replay it. So I retraded it. My pattern recognition was right on the money. So just keep adding and adding to confidence to my plays. I think one thing I might have to do is start to set some limit orders, because sometimes it's so quick. When I'm waiting and waiting, okay, it hit my level, and all of a sudden, boom, it drops like 3 points, and I'm like, man, my risk to reward screwed now. So I really have to make a deal and set some limit orders probably. All right. That being said, hopefully you guys who join me every morning recruit some other people, or some new people that are coming in today. You subscribe, set that alert. All right. Give you the market story. All right. Let me be your cup of coffee, tea, your water. Let me be in your car. Like I said, Rosita, who comes in here, says she uses me as a podcast basically and leaves me on all day when I go live, and also in the mornings. She says, I don't need to really look at anything. You give me everything. You give me the news. You give me everything I need to hear. I'm your morning cup of coffee, right? And it's better than CNBC. I'm not trying to sell you anything, right? I'm not trying to pump a stock. Nothing like that. All right. Now, again, every day, I've been going live on my Discord, Confluence Trading. All right. Go to my YouTube homepage. Click on the link. Sign up. Get the free indicator. And you'll also get all my commentary. All right, all my commentary. So, I think I provided a very good commentary, right? Every day, I'm letting you know. I'm giving you my internals, telling you like if I have any trades. I give you audio messages, what I'm looking at. Okay, and I'm live. So sometimes if I'm not live, you get a little more because I'm not live. But live, I'm talking constantly. Constantly. So come in, check it out. Let me be your indicator. You'll hear, I'll never steer you wrong. Okay? What's crazy is the 64.70 short is going to haunt me this week. That was my trade that I really wanted to take. That would have been on Tuesday. Yesterday, it doesn't haunt me. 66s, that's fine. The 63 66s, that's fine. Right? I haven't taken a trade this week. I don't think I had a week this year that I've went to all the way through Thursday with no trades. There's been opportunities, right? But yesterday I was looking at the price action again and I was like, well, it was not an easy day, right? There was multiple distributions throughout the day. I don't like trading at VPOCs. And VPOC was shifting around all day, right? So it wasn't the easiest. It was very volatile. So let's move on. Let's go right into watch list. See what's moving markets this morning. Okay. We got a VIX pumped up. Jackson Hole starts at 8 p.m. today. VIX is almost up 5%. It's up 16.47. Crude's up 0.75. 10-year yields up 0.44. Dollars up 0.15. Silver's pretty much flat. Gold down 0.17. 30-year bonds down 0.25. ES down 0.38. Nasdaq down 0.38. Dow down 0.42. Russell down 0.66. Bitcoin's down 1%. Ethereum down 2%. All right, moving on to the Max 7 Plus. Boeing got some. We'll get into it. Boeing's up 1.28. Who's lagging here? We got Google down 0.5%, Tesla down a half, over 0.55, Amazon down 0.68, Meta's down 0.72, Coinbase is down 1.23%. Okay. Top sectors. Do we have anything? Bottom here is Walmart. They reported earnings. We'll get into the news later. They're down 3.4%. Let's go to the granular list and see what's really up today. Not much. CoreWeave has gotten an upgrade, a price target raise, I believe. SoundHound. That's it. There's probably a ton of laggards here. Nothing huge. Gilead, Marimani, Riot, ANET, Roblox. There's not much there to talk about. All right, let's move on to sectors. Sectors. Who's the leader today? There's really not a leader. Really not a leader. Real estate, industrials, they're pretty much flat. But there's some laggards, semis, financials, and staples, because of Walmart's down 0.5%. Staples is down 0.5%. Okay. So this market has had a sold off hard yesterday. Right. Broke those 64 tens, but it returned back to the 64 tens. Okay. It also went down to the 6370s, which is also a composite high volume node from the past. So it went from the 6370 back up to the high volume node, the most traded price of the month, 64.10 about. That's what the market does. Goes back to those magnets, to those walls, and then trends back to another magnet in a wall. Okay. Do we revisit 6370 today? 70 today? I don't know. I don't know. Right now the market's at last week's lows. Right now in futures. Okay. Now let's move on. We got some data today. Oops. We got some data. Fed Bostic spoke 7:30. Initial jobless claims, Philly Fed at 8:30. 9:45, you got a bunch of PMIs. So 9:45, I'm probably not going to touch the market until maybe even after 10. You got existing home sales at 10. So let's see what shakes out there. So I'm probably not going to do nothing until about 10:05 or after. Let that dust settle. Sometimes existing home sales does nothing. If I see something at 9:55 or so, 9:50 maybe, I might enter regardless of existing home sales, but probably just stay clear till after about 10:10. Okay, after about 10:10. As far as some what's up stock, what's on the plate for today? Is there any Trump stuff? Let's see. Jackson Hole all day. Let's see. Trump signs executive orders at 3 o'clock. All right. Um, Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything on the juice. Let's look at some stock news here. Walmart stock fell 2.7% after the retail giant reported mixed second quarter results, with revenue exceeding expectations but earnings falling short of the analyst estimates. Coty stock slumped 21% after the beauty retailer forecast a weak first half of fiscal year 2026. Johnson & Johnson stock fell 0.4% after the drug maker said it would invest $2 billion in North Carolina as it aims to expand its U.S. manufacturing presence. Boeing stock rose 1.5% following a Bloomberg report that the aerospace giant is nearing a deal to sell as many as 500 aircraft to China. Tesla stock fell 0.1 after the Handelsblatt newspaper reported that the EV manufacturer since Monday evacuated part of its plant in Germany. CoreWeave rose 3% after the trading firm Jan Street Group reported it has a 5.4%. Jesus. Reported it has a 5.4% passive stake in the AI infrastructure firm, which is backed by NVIDIA. Hewlett Packard stock fell 3% as Morgan Stanley upgraded its stance on the information technology company to overweight from eco-weight, saying the recently closed Juniper deal will be an earnings upside, but it fell. Interesting. All right. Now, more news. I'm not sure if there's more. Let's see. Just want to see if there's really anything here to talk about. Got some target here. Jeffries raises target price from to lows 299 from 280. Target. Davidson cuts target price 115 from to 115 from 125. Wayfair. Jeffrey raises target price to 91 from 74. All right. We'll end it off here with some upgrades or downgrades. Let's see if there's even any. There's the CoreWeave M-Phase upgrade, Hewlett Packard upgrade. Okay, we talked about that. Let's go with downgrades. There's no downgrades in this list. This list kind of stinks for that stuff. Moving on. Moving on. We're gonna do a little we're gonna do a little market internals. Little market internals update for you. All right. So this thing was bloody, very bloody. Okay, but ended not so bloody. Right. So look at this. These readings of like a minus almost 400 is pretty bloody. Now, the caveat was the overall market wasn't that weak. It was just the mega cap stocks. And they are heavily market cap weighted, so they're going to move the thing lower. At one point, tech was down like 1.8% or something. Not 1.080, 1.80. Okay? And then it recovered. So you can see right here, SPX. This is when, the bottom was put in and then it just trended all the way up to positive. That is insane. That is quite the move. Quite the move. Okay? But you could see in here, I pointed out to my community that the advanced decline lines were never really that negative yesterday because the whole market wasn't just weak. Look at financials was positive, healthcare, industrials, staples, energy. This wasn't a whole market sell-off. People are just rotating out of technology. It's not a whole market sell-off. But technology, the infotech, is a huge part of the market cap weight. Okay, huge part of the market cap weight. All right, I think we're ready for some daily charts here. Let's do the dailies. We put quite a wick in yesterday. Here's the expected move to the downside, 631. 54. We broke last week's lows, coming pushing down, broke the 20-day, but closed above it. Closed above it. All right. Now, what are we at now? 635.90. 635.90. We are about at the midpoint of yesterday. We're right at the 20-day simple moving average. Okay. Now, we're still within last week's range. We're still within last week's range. What do we do? I don't know. Let's look at futures. Here's futures. Now, not finally, but like you're trending low, right? Lower high, lower high, lower low, right? Yeah, just like I told you, we're right at last week's lows. We're past the 20-day simple moving average in futures. Okay, pushing lower as I'm speaking a little bit. But everybody knows that this is last week's lows. Look at this right here. These two candles right here. Some support. Now let's look at the Qs. Here's your good old Qs. Nasty wick. Almost tapped the 50-day moving average. Broke this trend line. Let's just get rid of that trend line now. Okay. You can see closed well under the 20. Broke last week's range. Actually went. I said this in my community. This could be the bottom. Look, we're at a prior weekly low. These candles right here, support. It's kind of a pivot point. You can see there was support here, it was resistance here, and support here. That 558, 559 level. Okay? Most people took profits there, probably. That's a weekly low. Okay? Where are we at now? We are at 564. 564 is right there. We're actually at the expected move. How was that? We're at the expected move to the downside for this week. That's where we're at. Okay? Let's see here. It's like the midpoint of yesterday, basically, around the most traded price of yesterday in the NASDAQ. Now, the NASDAQ has been selling off pretty nicely. Okay, let's look at futures. Now, I'm going to show you in futures, we basically hit the 50-day moving average. The 50-day moving average. Okay? I don't put too much weight into this. This is the anchor VWAP for the year, and last year it's not correct on futures chart. It's not correct. Okay. Let's look at this here. If I did this, maybe will be a continuous contract. Let's see. This VWAP will be correct. The anchor VWAPs. Yeah, they're not there. I just wanted to see. All right. So let's see. Do we retest yesterday's lows? I don't know. There's a lot of congestion in this area right here. Now the 230s is a key level. You can see right here, there's support here. You have a lot of trading volume that transpired there. That is not going to be easily cut through. I don't think we really cut through that this week. Unless something at Jackson Hole makes the market go nuts. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to skip triple-headed monster. That thing is not really moving at all. Bond market's kind of staying at 4.2 yield. The dollar is still kind of under 100. It's just not worth talking about. Okay, we're going to move right over to hourly charts. Hourly charts. Let's do it. Not sure who's with me this morning. I don't see Chief today. Interesting. Not sure if Amalio's here. Documents. I could be by myself today, maybe. And again, like I always say, if I am, that's fine because I do it. I did this when there was no YouTube live stream. Okay. Let's go to hourly charts. And let's look at this together. All right. So, most traded price of the month. That is your around 64.13s right here. That's where the markets, you have this marked off, this high volume node from the past, held the markets in check yesterday. And once we fell through this high volume node, that made sense. But you hit the next one. And then what did we do? You couldn't accept value down here, you went back to the other one. Now we're down in the middle of them. Not the best location, okay? Now, right here, it's battling the month-to-date anchor VWAP. Notice it's green. It's green because it's above, price is above it. Okay? That means buyers are hanging on for life to be in control of August. Okay? So, obviously, all-time highs are actually made in the overnight session. We've been trending lower. Okay? Is this a little bit of a bottom for now? I don't know. Maybe. Okay? I don't know. But The main level here is your 64.13s, right? This used to be ultimate balance. Okay. Oh, you getting some up. Oh, this is old. This is a nice wick though. This is your ultimate balance. This is your line in the sand, folks. Stay behind here. It's bearish structure. Claiming it back, well, that's got to be bullish. All right. That's really it I want to talk about there. That's just a major, major level. It needs to be resolved. Okay. Moving on to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ member was relatively weak again yesterday. And in the NASDAQ, we have a demand zone here. We're popping out of it. Right here is yesterday's most traded price, that pink magenta, I think that's magenta, box. Okay. This was like a key support level we just broke. Okay, but we're in demand. Right? Now, we also have a key level down here, 230s. Kind of held the market in check yesterday and this demand zone. Is that the bottom again? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Our most traded price of the week is still the 235s, let's call it. Well, the month, 235s. Stay below there, it's bearish for the NASDAQ. Stay below there, it's bearish for the NASDAQ. Okay. Now you do have a bunch of high volume nodes here and here, but I'd really like to concentrate on these. All right. We are trending obviously lower. You got a bunch of swing highs, swing high, swing high, and we'll just keep going lower. Okay. Is this the stake in the ground for now? Might be. We just have to see. All right. That is your hourly chart analysis. Now we're going to move on. Okay, we're going to move on, and we're going to go to the market profile, buying profile. All right, let's do that analysis. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see here. If I sound slow, I did not get good sleep last night, and that's been a problem of late. Weird thing with me. I mean, I haven't taken a trade this week, but I feel like I'm reading the market like a monster this week. I had a great trading the last 2 weeks. It seems when I trade good, I don't sleep good. I don't know. That's weird. You think I would be telling you, oh, I need at least 8 hours and I trade great? It's really weird. I don't know why that is. It seems like when I get up, sometimes I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I can't go back to sleep. Like this morning, sometimes I do, but I'm feeling it right now in my eyes. So, let's move on. This is your market profile, buying profile analysis, okay? All right, let's maybe have to make this smaller. Do we? Do we? Maybe a little bit. Okay. Let's get into it here. All right. Profile wise, got our value for the week is still above us. Moved too quick down. Right? Where's volume building out? Well, not as much as here, and that's what the market really needs to do is push the 6470s down. You want to be able to pull value down so price makes value come to it. If you can't, you return back to value. Okay? Remember that 64 14s or 13s I was talking about before is your most traded price of the week. I mean, of the month. I'm sorry, of the month. That is your bull bear line, folks. That is your bull bear line. Okay? Now, we have some things to talk about, some levels. Right? We're inside yesterday's large session. Yesterday's session is around 67.75 points. Okay, it's a pretty large session. Remember this session we had on, I think it was Monday, was 17 points. This little baby was nothing. That was nothing. Okay, now big move from yesterday. 50% retracement is 63.96.75. This is the midpoint of yesterday. Lines up with the month-to-date anchor VWAP. Okay, so right off the bat, we're inside yesterday's session. Okay, what I'm gonna look at. Okay, we got some levels to talk about. Below us, we have our 6370 high volume node from the past, high volume composite node with the RTH lows. Another level we have is overnight lows, which this region is going to put in this bracket is your last week's lows, which is right here, 63.87s. Value area low from yesterday. Remember, value area is 70% of the trading volume or time. Market profile uses time, and volume profile uses volume. Okay, that's an important level to 63.81s. Okay, that's your value area low from yesterday. Now, 63.85 is your overnight low. So you're in your last week's low, 87. So that's why I have them all in that region. All in that region. Okay. And the move up was so violent, it doesn't have a little bit of a higher time frame demand zone down. It was so quick. I usually go from I do a bunch of demands from in supply zones from 12, 8, 6 hour, 4 hour, 3 hour, 2 hour, 90 minute, and then down to a 1 hour, no demand there. Now, of course, I could drive down into 30 and 15. They're less reliable. Okay, they're less reliable. Now, if we're going to talk about the next level, it's the monster. We got a supply zone here, right? This range. Okay, this is the real big one. It's a 64 14s. That's your most traded price of the month. That's your bull bear line. Okay. In this area, you have the most traded price of the overnight, the most traded price of yesterday, the most traded price of the month. You have value area high from yesterday. You have the overnight highs. Okay. Monster level. Okay. If the bulls have a shot, they have to take out that level and hold it. If they can't, it's bearish. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about structure. I'm not talking about price action. I'm talking about structure. Structure is king, meaning price action makes structure, but the structure is more important than the actual noise of price action. Okay? Now, a scalper will disagree because obviously they're trading ticks in little points. Okay, but I'm talking about structure. Okay. Now, this is the regions we need to talk about today. So we're going to get right into scenarios here. All right, that's the price action from the overnight. Okay. Let's get into it. So who's in control? That would be your bears. Okay. So we're going to start off with that scenario. All right. So we're at last week's lows. All right. We're near the midpoint of yesterday. That's 63.96s. Okay. We have some extension to the downside in the overnights. This is one of the regions that I talked about, right? We're right inside of it. Now, if you're going to look for some bearish type move, okay, what I would really want to see is buying come in from these overnight lows. Make it quick. I don't want the market to get too strong and try to resolve the 64.13s, 14s. right? Maybe break the overnight highs. Put a bull trap. Go under this level, retest, short that sucker, take out these lows, and go head towards 63.70s in yesterday's lows. You do have a demand zone around the 55s probably. I'm just not, that's probably a roundabout. Okay? You possibly could do that. And again, I don't know. You know, I don't know if we take the lows out from yesterday. But this is the kind of price action that I would like to see. Suck in some longs, then have them liquidate. That is number one. Number one. Okay, now of course, what could we do? If we just opened up and kind of ripped lower, this would be a hard short. But let's say we just started to hold and hold and hold here. Maybe we test yesterday's lows. I don't like that as much. This is A plus. You can't resolve that level. You fall under it, retest it, and the market is not strong or weak, or the market is a little weak. Yeah, that's number one. So I'm going to move on to longs. Okay, so here's longs. And here we go. Now, our first region is right here. This is value area low, the bottom of this, 63.81s. 63.81s. Okay, right here. So I want to see what we do around this area. So if we drive down and hold the value area lows from yesterday, we can make a possible run up to the 64.14s. That would be a beautiful, beautiful trade. That's a lot of points. Okay. Now, if the market opens up and it's in parity or it's not that weak, this is I'm interested in these longs. If the market takes out value area low, well, we got the 63.70s again, the high volume composite node down here. Maybe we want to test yesterday's lows. Okay, now if we recover that level, that's also a long. One caveat here, if we just all out slam into this demand zone, right, and jump off, I probably want to see it recapture to get a little long there. Okay, because if we fall under 63.70s, we're probably a little weak. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Okay, that's your scenarios for the longs in the ES, and that's your ES. Moving on to the NASDAQ. Okay, let's talk about some levels here. All right, so we're in demand right now. We're at the midpoint of yesterday's session. Okay, we're at the midpoint. So actually, right now, the ES is actually a little weaker as far as where it is in yesterday's session. ES is down more. It's not by the midpoint. This is right by the midpoint, right by yesterday's most traded price. Okay, happens to be the POC as well, the most time spent. All right, inside yesterday, we have a bullish imbalance to this profile. Okay, bullish imbalance. So, level to talk about. We have demand zone. We have a 230 down here. So down here, the demand in the 230s, yesterday's lows. We have a demand burn here. I would extend this to be value area lows from yesterday, 23146s, and this demand. That's a pretty big zone, I know, but it is the NASDAQ. Yesterday's most traded price, the overnight lows are all in this level. Okay? It's just a crap when you're inside the middle of yesterday. You don't want to be in the middle of yesterday. That is not great trade location. It causes chop, indecision, games, all that. Okay? So what I do want to talk about is this area here. This is your, so you got supply zones here. Okay, you got overnight lows, overnight highs, overnight highs, value area high here. supply, yesterday's highs, right? I would say this right off the bat, the NASDAQ has a lot to do to the upside. Okay, you do have your 235s up here. That's your most traded price of the month. Notice how far away this is. Under this is bearish structure. Notice how far away that is, and we're not too far, from the in the ES. That shows the structure much poorer in the NASDAQ. Okay, in the NASDAQ. Let's get right into scenarios here. Let's open up this session, see the price action. Okay, let's see the price action. Get right into scenarios, and so I can get you guys out of here. Okay. Now, bears are in control. Okay, so we're going to start off with the bear side. Let's go here. So we're at the midpoint of yesterday, at the bottom of this demand zone. Okay, if I want to be short, this is not probably the location I want to be short at. Okay, I want some buyers to step up here, go into this supply, right, and see if you could take out the overnight highs. If you take out the overnight highs, hit a naked VPOC from the past 234s, okay, you could start to come back and take out these overnight lows and really start to cook. Hit the value area low, 23146s, and go down and try to test the 230s. Now, the little bit of a better thing for the NASDAQ is you could be bearish all the way up to 235s. So if the market, let's say, rip to the overnight highs. Now, I'm going to be caveat here. There probably is going to be some strength if we do reach this. So I'm not saying it's a top grade short. But if it can't resolve that and comes back, it might go back to here. Okay, but number one is this one. Okay, now of course, we could drive lower. I just don't like it that much. I mean, we'd have to do something like this, hold. I just don't like it as much. Okay, moving on to the long side. All right, back to longs. We're in demand. Okay, in demand. The 232s have support here. So first thing here, we could just hold this demand zone, pop up, take out the overnight highs, and try to test yesterday's highs, 23432s, and maybe possibly hit 235s. Okay, that would be nice and easy. Second would be another pullback to 23146 is the value area low from yesterday. See how we handle this level. Maybe we make a move back up. Okay. Now, in relation where we're at, okay, in this wild and volatile market, if we push really quickly down and test yesterday's lows to those 230s, this is not going to be easy to cut through. So I would really be eyeing this for myself and to see how really weak we are. Because if we do this, push up, retest, yeah, I'd like a long. And I just would like that pop up. I don't know how high it would go. Doesn't matter if you set your risk. Okay? That's it. That's it, folks. That's it for me today. Hopefully I wasn't too sleepy for you guys. Okay, and of course, if you enjoy my content, please smash the like button. It mean a lot to me. Okay? As always, please join me every morning. Let me give you the market story, economic calendar, market news, leaders and laggards, a bunch of technical analysis. Let me be your podcast. Let me be your morning radio show. Young kids won't know about that, but just let me be your information of the stock markets. Join me. Sign up and set an alert. I mean, man, I wish I had somebody like me talking about the news and everything, why the market's doing what it's doing. That would be awesome. Okay? And I give you long and short trade scenarios. And if you join my Discord, Confluence Trading, you get a free indicator. The weekly expected move. I run it every week. Every weekend and Monday for the following week. It tells you the expected range for every ticker that's important, that moves our markets. All right. Yesterday, it told you we're not going to go lower and we're going to bounce. Okay. I'm still in that meta play. I'm still in that broken wing butterfly in meta. Okay. It's up right now. So remember, I only did a little tester, $50 credit. But remember, if it goes down tomorrow, and it's around the 725 area, I'm gonna make an additional 550 bucks. That's the beauty of the broken wing butterfly. Okay, and I put it on for a credit, and I can get an additional $550. Okay. Now, meta is a wild one, but like I said, it's past its expected move to the downside. I really feel like we might have put a stake in the ground for this week, unless something crazy happens at Jackson Hole. Okay, I mean, maybe I could be wrong, but what don't we know what Powell's going to say? He says the same thing. They're data dependent, whatever. All right. So, everybody, I wish you have a great day. Remember, no trade is a trade, and I know that better than anybody this week. I haven't taken one. So, why don't you join me in my Discord? Okay. Let me know if you want me to go live. Ask some questions. Okay. I'll be happy to answer. Right. I have a broad wealth of knowledge over the last 6 years. I've had about 6 mentors, advanced options, futures, stocks. Uh, I know a lot of stuff about the stock market. Okay. So just ask a question. All right. Everybody have a great day. Hopefully I see you in the Discord. Go to my YouTube homepage to click on the link to join up. And if I don't, hopefully I see you guys tomorrow morning. All right. Take it easy.